ladies, it's Angela here. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm really happy to have you here, and I want to talk to you today about a topic that I think is so common for women as they get into perimenopause and even that transition into the other side, into menopause, and that is mood changes. So many women report to me that every time, if you're still cycling, you feel that period coming around, whether it be month to month, or it can for some women be every 2-3 months. It can start to become more irregular as you get closer to menopause. Women tell me month after month over, they feel more and more irritable. They feel like they just can't cope with their family. They feel like things are breaking down at their work and their life in general. And they're wondering what they can do to feel more balanced and stable and like themselves. They feel like they're losing control. They feel like there's just nothing they can do to gain that control. And many women tell me that they feel like the symptoms are getting worse and worse and worse, and they just don't know what to do about it. If you go to see a practitioner, possibly a doctor, you may be provided with some potential solutions to help you manage the symptoms. The most common ones offered are birth control or medication for mood management. And this may or may not be helpful for you. Birth control, I mean, let's face it, for the most part, it should be used for contraception and preventing pregnancy. For most women, if you're in your mid to late 40s or early 50s, this is not what you're thinking about as far as the use of it. Maybe some of you are, but for most women, they're not. So we want to be thinking, what are the other potential options? Because both of those potential short-term management solutions are more like Band-Aids, to be honest. They're going to maybe help subdue some of the symptoms, but they're not really going to get to the root cause of why you're having those symptoms in the first place. So most commonly, why we have these symptoms of mood change that become more extreme and we feel more irritable and more moody than we maybe did in our early to mid 20s and even early 30s has to do with the way our hormone levels are changing. So estrogen and progesterone, our primary female hormones, they're lowering on the way towards and into that transition into menopause. And they're still lowering even after we go into menopause, ladies. It's not just that lead up to. But what happens in perimenopause, the lead up to menopause, is if this is estrogen and this is progesterone, they're both lowering, but estrogen's going up and down like this as it's lowering. So there's an imbalance with how they're lowering. They're not lowering at an even rate, and estrogen's really jumping around all over the place. And with this, it can also cause our moods to jump around with it. We want to be thinking, are there some things that I could do to help me get through this transition? Because it can continue on into menopause, and for some women, many years beyond. So yes, there's many things you can do. I know personally, I suffered from a lot of mood imbalance symptoms related to my cycle on and off for many years, not just in the perimenopausal time, which I'm in now. And I know many women that I've helped as well. And the root cause of most of these symptoms, it does come down to one main thing. It's how our body's processing hormones. So when estrogen's fluctuating a lot in perimenopause, and even as we move into menopause, one thing we have to rely on in our bodies, we don't realize this necessarily, but is that there is excess estrogen that needs to get out of the body. It eventually, whatever we produce and then whatever we use, there is hormone that actually needs to be detoxified and moved out. Both estrogen and progesterone, but estrogen often is wreaking more havoc on these types of symptoms. So if we don't have good mechanisms in our body, the systems that help eject this estrogen, if they're not working properly or efficiently, we're going to be left to be feeling more vulnerable with our mood symptoms. The primary exit ways for our estrogen in the body are through our liver and through our gut. For many women, when they get into their 40s and early to mid 50s, the gut is not actually moving these hormones that well. The liver often is sluggish. It's not detoxifying well. We've had a lifetime to have things build up in our body as far as toxins. And although we're relying on our liver to get rid of and move these toxins out, if the toxic burden gets too high, the liver can't keep up. So it gets sluggish and it doesn't do as good of a job, and it can't move that estrogen through as well. Where do these toxins come from? For females, they come from our hair products, skin, things we put on our nails, our lips, makeup, creams, you name it. Females are famous for this. We do ourselves up almost every day. Some women more so than others. Definitely all that stuff that goes on or into our body has to be filtered through the liver eventually. So over time, this can start to burden the liver, and it cannot allow that estrogen to move through it as efficiently as it may have 10, 20, or 30 years ago. And then the other aspect of this is our gut. So very commonly, the gut is not moving estrogen through properly either. And this has to do with imbalances in the gut microbiome. So we need enough good bacteria to actually help us break down that estrogen, the estrogen that needs to get out, and move it out. And if we have an imbalance, if we have too much bad bacteria and not enough good bacteria, what happens is we actually don't have that ability to move that estrogen out. And so the body recirculates it in the bloodstream, and it actually has to go back up to the liver again, and the liver has to work even harder to try and detoxify this more toxic estrogen. We have to have our liver and our our gut, our detoxification pathways working well to rebalance our mood health. And I learned this a long time ago, not just in the perimenopause phase, because I had a lot of mood imbalance with my period when I was even in my early to mid 20s. And the only solution for me that gave me lasting relief of symptoms so I could feel like I could live my life again and not have these really big disruptions month after month and after month was to detoxify my liver and my gut. And there is ways to do this naturally. Definitely with food, we need to be making sure we're eating foods that don't aggravate these areas of our bodies. So we have to be anti-inflammatory. Don't want to be eating a lot of sugar, a lot of saturated fat, junk food, that kind of thing. Too many white fluffy carbohydrates. It really slows down liver detoxification in particular, but it also can feed bad bacteria in the gut and cause us to get an imbalance with the bad relative to the good over time. If we eat too much sugar, we often end up with a candida overgrowth in our gut, and it really slows down estrogen detoxification. This is just one example, but these are some of the things that can go on in our body. So we need to eat properly. Another thing that really helps the liver detoxify well is to exercise and sweat. We get a lot of our toxins out through sweat, and if you can't exercise to the level that you can sweat, if you've had an injury, you have something going on that's not allowing you to move your body at that rigorous of a pace, try using something like a sauna. Or another option is potentially to use something like a castor oil pack. These are things that can help the liver start to detoxify in place of that if you're not able to exercise vigorously enough to sweat. But you've got to eat properly, you've got to sweat. And then for the GI tract, the gut, we really need to make sure that we're having daily bowel movements, ideally 2 a day. So if you're someone who's more constipated, you're maybe going every 1 to 2 days or 3 to 4, there's no doubt your estrogen's backed up. So we need to help you with eating enough fiber, exercising, making sure that you're doing the lifestyle strategies that help to basically open up those detox pathways. And there's more we can do if you work with me individually one-on-one. I'm able to run lab testing on you, understand where the deficiencies could be for you specifically as an individual, and we can start to work on rebalancing the detoxification pathways for your hormones so that as you move through this time of life where the hormones are fluctuating up and down, especially estrogen, but they're both on the decline, estrogen and progesterone, we can actually start to get you more balanced in these pathways because your body's moving hormone properly. That transition towards and into menopause does not have to be hell. There is a way to get the balance back, but we do need to learn some strategies around this. We can't just expect to kind of sail through it naturally, especially if we're feeling symptomatic. So I hope this helps you as a starting point. And if you want to learn more and you want to potentially reach out to me, please feel free to. You can go to my website, www.angelasimpsonfunctionalmedicine.ca, and I'm happy to have a free complimentary consult with you to talk about if it may be a good fit for us to work together. And there is a booking link in the top right-hand corner there on my website. You can also contact me there. There's an email link on my website. And if you haven't already, please like the rest of my social channels, including YouTube here. So YouTube, Facebook, I have a private group called Functional Medicine for Hormonal Imbalances. Please request to join if you want more information on how to rebalance your hormones naturally as a female moving towards and into the transition into menopause. And then I also have social channels on Instagram and TikTok, and I share information, more short form information there. So thanks so much for watching, ladies. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.